Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And trust and believe, I bowed my head after I said the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Now, y'all know usually y'all can see me doing my videos, but we're talking mock draft here on the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to say to each and every one of you in the Who Dat Nation that inboxed me, that wanted me to do a video like this, I want to say I appreciate this. We're going to be breaking down the New Orleans Saints draft picks and who I feel the Saints are going to draft. The 2020 draft is a really deep draft for a lot of positions, and we all know that the Saints need some help at some key positions, and I got my list right here. I know y'all can hear that. I got my list right here, and I'm ready to tell you who I feel is going to be a New Orleans Saints in this year's 2020 draft. So without further ado, somebody hit that ESPN music for me real quick. Yes, sir. Now, we know that the Saints have a first, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth round pick in this year's draft, okay? So we're going to go ahead and start in the first round. And let me go ahead and get my Roger Goodell on. With the 24th pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints won't be picking there. That's right. The New Orleans Saints will not be selecting a draft pick with the 24th pick. The Saints will move up to the 10th spot, and they will draft quarterback Jordan Love. Now, I know a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation, some of you are not very high on Jordan Love, but Sean Payton is. Sean Payton has been ranting and raving about this guy for I don't know how long. The media has been bringing out different articles about Sean Payton's excitement and what he saw at the Senior Bowl. So what I'm saying is the Saints are going to move up aggressively. They're going to trade picks with the Cleveland Browns, and they're going to get their man. Look, we know that Drew Brees most likely is going to retire after this season, okay? We know that Drew Brees took some time in the offseason to figure out if he wanted to come back or not. We see that Drew Brees has signed a contract with NBC. The writing is on the wall, Who Dat Nation. It is time for the New Orleans Saints to think about the future and life without Drew Brees. And it starts right here with Jordan Love, the 6'4", 224-pound quarterback with the rocket arm and elite arm skills. They're comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. And people are probably saying, Patrick Mahomes, yeah, right, whatever. But this guy right here, he is being compared to Patrick Mahomes. And the last time we seen Patrick Mahomes, he was hoisting the Lombardi Trophy over his head. And this is a copycat league once again. People want the next big thing. And the Saints probably are thinking about a couple drafts back when they had an opportunity to get Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs jumped in front of them and got him. The Saints don't want to lose that opportunity again. The Saints are going to draft Jordan Love with the 10th pick in the draft. That is what I think they're going to do. But what are the Saints are going to lose? Well, I feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to lose next year's first round pick, and they're probably going to lose a 5th or a 6th rounder in this year's draft. But that's the way I see them going in the first round. The next pick comes in the 3rd round for the New Orleans Saints, and I have the New Orleans Saints selecting cornerback Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame. That's right, Troy Pride. Yeah, I'm talking Troy Pride. Yeah, I'm talking what? I got Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame being in the 3rd round for the New Orleans Saints. Look, the Saints need a cornerback. They need one really bad. And even though they re-signed P.J. Williams, no disrespect to P.J. Williams, but I really feel like Troy Pride Jr. can fill that slot role. Okay, this is somebody that can compete with P.J. Williams, possibly for a starting position. I mean, Troy Pride Jr. had 40 tackles, 6 pass deflections, and he had an interception last year with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is a guy that can play on the inside and the outside. And no disrespect to PJ Williams, we all know that he cannot play on the outside. Troy Pride Jr. gives you a different type of cornerback, a cornerback that the Saints have been needing for a very long time. And he's extremely aggressive. So I have the Saints drafting Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame in the 3rd round. We move on to the 4th round. In the 4th round, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting linebacker Anfernee Jennings out of Alabama. The 6'1", 252-pound linebacker who registered 83 tackles, 8 sacks, 5 pass defending, 1 interception, and a forced fumble last season will be a New Orleans Saint. I feel like this guy is a really good linebacker. He has room to grow. That's one of the reasons I feel like he's going to fall to the 4th round. And we know that the linebacker position at Alabama over the past couple of years, those guys transitioning to the National Football League has been successful. I mean, we look at guys like C.J. Mosley, a guy who is playing out of his mind. First when he played for the Baltimore Ravens and then now for the New York Jets. I feel like Anfernee Jennings can be the same type of player. I mean, you align him with Demario Davis. I feel like Demario Davis can be a mentor to him, and he can really become a huge factor. He's a guy that can help in run support. He's a guy that can defend the running back. He can also defend the tight end. And he is a guy that I feel like can be a part of the rotation and maybe transition to being a solid starter for the New Orleans Saints. So in the 4th round, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting linebacker Anfernee Jennings. Once again, I think the Saints are going to end up losing one of these picks, rather it's the 5th or the 6th round. But I'm just going to tell you who I feel like is going to be their 5th round pick if they keep him. And the 5th round, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting Antonio Gandy Golden, the wide receiver out of Liberty. This is a guy that is a diamond in the rough, a guy that a lot of people don't know that much about because he played for a small school. But he's 6'3", he weighs 222 pounds. And honestly, I feel like the only reason why the Saints are going to get this guy in the 5th round, 1, because he went to a small school, and 2, he ran a lackluster 40. He ran a 4.6. So I think the Saints are going to end up getting him in the 5th round. And I think that this is a guy who I feel could be what the Saints wanted Tre'Quan Smith to be. I mean, this guy is not afraid to go get the football. He's not afraid to be aggressive. He's not afraid to go up there and get those 50-50 footballs. All you have to do is just watch his highlights. I mean, this guy has 79 receptions, 1,096 yards, 10 touchdowns in 2019. I feel like what he can bring to the New Orleans Saints organization is a guy who, 1, has a big body. He can line up in a slot, and we all know the Saints can get those matchups that they want in order for the wide receiver to be successful. So Antonio Gandy Golden, I feel like he would be a good asset to the New Orleans Saints, and it would not surprise me if the Saints draft him in the 5th round. And just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and give you a 6th round pick. Like I said, I don't know if the Saints are going to give up a 5th or a 6th round pick, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you who I feel like the Saints would draft in the 6th round. In the 6th round, I have the Saints selecting offensive tackle Akeem Adeniji. Okay, I feel like they will get this guy because, number 1, he went to Kansas. And who's the head coach of Kansas? Les Miles. Les Miles was the head coach at LSU all those years, and we know that him and Sean Payton have a little bit of a relationship. So what's it to Les Miles to call up Sean Payton and be like, hey, Sean, I want you to look at my offensive lineman, Akeem, right here. I think he's a guy with a lot of promise. He played tackle at Kansas, but he's not fast enough, in my opinion, to play tackle in the National Football League. But he's a good enough athlete to line up in inside and play at the guard position. And we know that the Saints need depth at the guard position. We don't know if some of those offensive linemen that were part of rotation are going to return to the team. So I feel like Akeem Adeniji out of Kansas will be able to fill that void. I mean, honestly, I think that he has enough upside. He's going to get stronger. I mean, he has room to improve when it comes to the strength. I feel like he can get stronger. He can learn from the guys that's on the offensive line. And I think he can end up one day possibly being a solid starter if the Saints decide that, you know, they may not want to bring back Larry Warford one day. This guy could be the guy. So he's 6'4", 302 pounds. You know, once again, it's the 6th round. So in the 6th round, these are guys that, you know, have an opportunity to make the team. It's not a guarantee that they're going to make the team. So I think the Saints can draft an offensive tackle with that pick. So those are my picks for the 2020 NFL Draft. That is how I think the draft is going to go for the New Orleans Saints. And I think that the Saints are going to try to fill every void that is missing when it comes to depth in their organization. So we all know that they need a linebacker. They'll get one. We know that they need a possible number 3 receiver. They're going to get one. I feel like they're going to need a cornerback. And we know that they're going to need a quarterback for the future. The New Orleans Saints will be smart in this year's draft. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints and this year's 2020 draft? And what do you think? What is your mock draft? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast special mock draft edition. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?